How's everyone going? All right, Cody back again, dropping another video. Just going to carry on covering Stuart Horner's trial. I know Stuart through a friend of mine who was in the segregation unit at Strangeways with Stuart. For those that don't know who Stuart Horner is, he's currently serving life in prison, and he in September 2016. He'd had enough of his treatment and stuff like that. He was in the seg. For those that don't know, segregation unit is like it's the wing that you get stitched up on the wing. It's where you've been in trouble. You're classed as a troublesome prisoner, and you put in the seg. Like your height, you could be an escape risk and things like that, and you end up in the seg as a punishment and stuff. Right. Anyway, he got out on the yard, and he was out on the yard on his own. Screw, I think, might have been at the door watching. He climbed the fence, ripped the netting, and ended up on the roof. It was a peaceful protest. He was protesting, right? The reason he was up there was protesting, right? I've got a letter that's here from him, from Stuart. I received it last week. I'm going down to court tomorrow to show my support for Stuart. The trial's currently continuing. He's on trial because he climbed up onto the roof, and while he was on the roof, glass windows were shattered. 20 of the most dangerous prisoners within the prison, 'cause it's a Cat A prison. For those that don't know what a Cat A prison is, a Cat A prison houses the Cat A wing and stuff. It's the worst of prisoners, murderers and murderers and killers and all that stuff. 20 of them had to be moved to dispersal units, which were other prisons, at a cost of over £1 million. Obviously, armed police and stuff, and armed escorts to other prisons and stuff throughout the country and stuff, because if he broke the skylight, and then it was classed as a security risk and all that stuff. While he was up there, he was throwing slates and all that down. Fuck all that stuff, right? The end of the day, the reason he did it, right? Let's cut the bullshit, right? The reason he did it was to speak out for prisoners, right? Too many prisoners, right? Like, there's prisoners suffering in prisons throughout the country, right? Up and down the country, from Cat A prisons to Cat D prisons, right? And they're suffering and they're not happy, right? They're fucking locked behind the door for long periods of time. There's no rehabilitation. There's no courses to be put on, and you're just locked away, and the key is literally thrown away. And then it leads on to people fucking developing mental health problems. And if they've already got mental health problems, they're going untreated and stuff because the staff are not mentally health trained. The food portions are shit. You've got to beg for toilet roll. Basic things that other prisoners in other prisons take for granted. Cat A Strangeways in Manchester, which is an HMP prison, Her Majesty's prison, right? It's a fucking joke. There's no rehabilitation there within that prison. It's a fucking joke. And Stuart had spoken to the governor, right? While the governor was doing his rounds, he spoke to the governor, right? He wanted to address these issues and everything, and he got ignored, and the screws were agreeing with him about what he was saying was right. I'm just quoting some of the things that he said. There was 30 to 40 lads talking about taking over the prison in another Strangeways riot. For those that don't know, back in 1990, prisoners took over the whole prison, set fire to it, and the prison lasted, I think the riot lasted about 25 days, 26 days, and it's still Britain's longest UK prison riot to this day. And they was protesting at the state of the prison, slopping out, 3 to a cell, fucking portions of food, treatment of conditions within the prison, and everything in between. Stuart Horner, in my eyes, I don't give a shit what these goodies say, is an hero, right? And there's more people within prisons throughout Great Britain, right, who shouldn't throw things and smash things, right? Because obviously that's illegal, and I can't tell people to do that. But I think people should protest. I think prisoners need to get together and protest. Not about taking over prisons and rioting. It's not about that, right? It's about getting the word out, because the simple fact is, the reason that I do these videos to you lot, and the reason that I do the interviews with the media, right, isn't because I like being on TV. I don't give a fuck about that shit, right? It's about speaking out for prisoners, right? It's about trying to get better conditions for prisoners, right? You know in Holland, right? They have conjugal visits. For those that don't know what a conjugal visit is, it's where you can actually have sex with your partner. So if you've got a missus, she comes to the prison, you can have sex with her, right? They've got it where missuses can stay over for the weekend, come on a Friday and leave on a Sunday, right? Literally stay in your cell, right? And stuff like that. You can stay with them. right? Oh, look at the UK. What happens really? You lock behind your door for 22, 23 hours a day, 23, 24 hours a day even, sometimes even longer than that, depending on prison officer shortages and everything else. And Stuart Horner, right, took the course of action that he took. He got up on that roof, right, because he was angry, he was frustrated, he wasn't being listened to, and he was pissed off. Because the simple fact is, when the Ministry of Justice and the governors of these prisons and stuff talk about rehabilitation, which is a made-up word, right, when they talk about rehabilitation for prisoners, right? Do you know they make the decisions, and do you know who they should be speaking to about like prisons and about rehabilitation? The prisoners, the ones that are fucking housed in these prisons. Speak to them, right? All these prisons, they rule by, they're like machines. They just go with the process, right? Someone needs to stand out of the process and dare to be great and think, you know what, right? I'm going to fucking put my name down in the history books because I'm going to govern and appeal for like better conditions for prisoners. Because if you got better, if you give things to prisoners that are going to help prisoners behave and stuff, and conjugal visits, right, so they can have sex and stuff. If you're walking around the landing 24 hours, like, when the hour that you get out of daylight, I'm talking about Cat A Strangeways, right? You've got lads that are pent up with testosterone, right? That are angry, are wound up, sexually frustrated, and sex relieves that. It takes pressure off your mind and stuff. When you can get out your cell and you're allowed to get on the phone, right? Speaking to your family, it's a big morale boost. Having visits and stuff, big morale boost and stuff. And it's and because of staff shortages and stuff like that, by the time that people are going on visits, right, and getting up to the visiting office centre, right, they're getting like 40 minutes, 45-minute visits. It's not good enough. And once you're a convicted prisoner, you're only getting one visit a week. Stuart's trial's ongoing, right? I was supposed to have gone today. I couldn't get down there, but I'm going to go tomorrow to show my support and stuff. Like I say, Stuart Horner, in the eyes of a lot of prisoners, he's held in very high regard from a lot of prisoners, and the reason he is because he dared to be great. He stood up, right? I'm not telling people to riot and fucking try and take over prisons. I'm talking about protesting, right? Peacefully, protest. If you protest peacefully, right, and you're able to be in a position where you can speak to the media, do it. Write letters from yourself to the media. Write to the Ministry of Justice, right? Like, it probably won't make no difference, but if you don't ask, you don't get, right? So like I say, people need to take that course of action. People need to get up on the roof. People need to speak to the media. People need to get like hold of news desks and stuff. Get the contact number, lie, put it on the pin. Ring the news desk from the prison, right? Speak to the fucking news desk, right? Write to the fucking media, right? We want to get better prisoners and stuff. I think it's time we need to. People are protesting in London for the NHS and fucking all this stuff, right? And prisoners are just sat by the by-side, just sat there, just suffering in silence, mental health problems and stuff like that. People going into prison, right, never taking a drug in their life, and they're coming out raging drug addicts. It's not good at all. People are locked up behind the doors 24 hours a day. They're going stir crazy. We're social people, and people locked behind the doors for long periods of times, and it's not fucking good. We're social creatures. We should be socialising, mixing with other people. There's no fucking prison. It has the people think the law-abiding citizens, right, that have got their head in the sand and live in a bubble. They don't, right. Prison actually doesn't rehabilitate anyone. The only person that can rehabilitate you is yourself, right? There's only you can change your behaviour at the end of the day, right? And prisoners are screaming out to rehabilitate, to change. All prisoners want in the short term, right, is to be able to get out of prison and be able to change, to be given qualifications and training, so that when they get out, they can get a decent job, pay tax, and pay back into the system, and feel like a man again. You understand? And like I say, Stuart Horner took the fucking course of action he did. Right, he probably shouldn't have smashed the prison up and stuff from the roof and stuff like that. I'm not judging Stuart, man. He's a fucking friend of mine. I would have done the same thing in exactly the same situation. But like I say, I can't tell people to riot and to take that course of action. But do I want prisoners to make a stand across prisons? If you've got loved ones within the prison system, right, you need to tell them to rise up, right? So make a stand. Dare to be great. Let's get the word out, right? Prisoners have had enough. We don't want to take it no more, right? I'm out now. I don't have to do all this. But the thing is, right, I'm sick of seeing prisoners suffer. Prisoners leaving prison in body bags because they've fucking overdosed, or they've had too much and there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and they'd rather string up, which for those that don't know means hang yourself, right, than fucking suffer in prison. They're not being heard, right? They're going to prison, they're developing mental health problems, they're hearing voices in their head because they're being cooped up and stuff. It's like solitary confinement sort of shit. They're not able to fucking, the mind just breaks, do you know what I mean? And you just fucking, we're social people, we need to be amongst people. Being locked behind your doors for that amount of time, right? And then fucking drugs and everything else that comes into play, it doesn't rehabilitate anyone. It fucking, the prisons are doubling up as mental health units. And like I say, Stuart Horner, who fucking power to you, brother, power to you, right? You're an hero. You are an hero, Stuart, right? You're my mate, right? And I'm like I say, I'm going to court to support you, right? Tomorrow, he took the stand, right, and the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, was saying to him, well, you could just plead guilty, And he said, you know what? He said, if I plead guilty, I'm not able to speak out about the system. I'm speaking out for all prisoners, right? And he's daring to be great, and you know what? Power fucking to him. We need to celebrate it. We need to fucking, Stuart Horner, right, is an hero, right? When somebody, right, makes a stand, one man got onto the roof, yeah, and you know what? He made fucking local news, radio, national, fucking international, right? And you know what? Do you know what his aim was? To get better conditions for prisoners, right? That could be your loved ones, could be your husband, it could be your boyfriend, could be obviously there's women prisoners, could be your girlfriend, you know what I mean? And you know what, another thing as well, he's actually speaking out for the prison officers, right? What prisoner, yeah, speaks out for prison officers? No one cares what prisoners say, right? No one gives a shit. Because what happens, right? Prisoners are locked behind a door, they're treated like shit, right? And then do you know what? The media contact the prison and say, oh, we believe this is happening within the prison. And the whole prison system, every one of them, right, have got this policy of saying, we do not discuss individual cases. If you Google that term, do not discuss individual cases and then prisons, right? You'll see how many fucking newspaper stories have stopped because the prison system, because the prison authorities won't fucking comment because they don't want stories to get out. So the lads suffer in silence and they can't speak out because the fucking prison put a block on it. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why Stuart Horner done what he done, right? We need more people like Stuart Horner within the prison system. I just do my little vlogs and stuff. I just speak out, I give advice and stuff like that, right? Like I say, my whole aim is for better prison conditions, more social, better regimes, more training, more qualifications, right? People on short sentences are serving sentences, right? They're getting out of prison, they've lost their home or the house through rent arrears because they can't pay the mortgage, right? They're getting out, they've got nowhere to go. Do you know what they do? They commit crime. Why do they commit crime? Not because they want to, but not because they want to, but because they want to go back to prison. Because it's better to be in prison with 3 meals a day, a roof over your head, a warm cell, a TV in your cell, legalised mobile phones on tap, right, than it is to be homeless on the streets. Look, it's fucking freezing outside, right? Like I say, the prison system, actually, people think, oh, it really be throwing the key away, that'll teach them. It doesn't teach them. It doesn't teach them, right? It's like the naughty class at school, right? You go on, you end up making criminal connections within prison, right? So when you get out of prison, you know you're not going to get a job, you've got no training, you've done no courses, so what do? You revert to type, you go back to crime, you've got all these criminal connections to make more money, right? So the circle of crime continues and continues and continues, right? And it's going on, right? I don't like seeing it, right? There's some people in the prison system that are lost, they're a lost cause, right? The prison's their life, that's all they know, right? They're institutionalized. Then you've got people that go to prison, right, that want to gain qualifications, want training, want to be able, when they get out, to be able to provide a living and a life for their family, their loved ones, right? There's a lot of switched on lads in prison, right? I was one of them. I'm very switched on. I'm clued up. I know what the score is, right? But like I say, it just needs to change. People need to change the prison system, right? Now, the screws are not doing it. The screws won't stand up to be counted. The Ministry of Justice fucking put a lid on all the prisons so no stories can get out, right? So it's down to people like Stuart Horner. Stuart Horner took a great course of action, right? Right, smashing the roof up, right? That's criminal damage, right? That's an illegal act, yeah? I can't tell people to do that. But if you want to fucking protest, and we can get enough prisoners together to protest, right? Peacefully, albeit peacefully, right? Within the confines of the law, right? Then we can be heard. Stuart Horner was one man, right? And that one man, right, dared to be great. And you know what, yeah? People, the national papers, the local, the radio, they're all covering the story at the moment because it's a big story. A prisoner stood up to the prison system. One man. In 1990, right, a couple of hundred took over Strangeways, right? Still the longest prison riot in Britain to this day, right? They went down in history. They changed the prison system for the rest of us. For people like you and I, yeah, they changed the prison system, right? Because they dared to be great, they took over the prison, right? Stuart Horner, one man, 27 years later, yeah, right? 26 years later, because it was last year, right? Dared to be great. He stood up for his voice to be heard. And you know what? His voice got heard from the rooftops, literally from Strangeways roof, right? And the man should be commended, right? And people should respect him, and people should cheer him and clap him, and people should turn up at court and show the support for him, right? Let's fight the prison system. Let's give prisoners a voice. We're sick of suffering in silence, right? Protest peacefully, right? We need to get loved ones throughout the United Kingdom, people, friends, family, fucking boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. Speak out against the prison system. Dare to be great. Right, guys, I've waffled on for long enough. I'll leave it there. Thanks for your time, guys. Power to Stuart Horner. Peace, my brother. Love.